Hey everybody!
Good morning!
Welcome to GracePointe online, I guess. At the moment, we're just doing the live stream, and this has been a huge opportunity for us to connect with the community. So, huge shout out to everybody tuning in from around the world, and from Nashville, and from all around Tennessee here too. We are still in our series, Let Us Be, Embodying Our Values, and Josh will be doing another sermon today in that series, so tune in to the end to watch that. And if you haven't had a chance yet to sign up for our weekly newsletter, just go to gracepointe.net/subscribe and you can check us out there. See you in the announcements.
Welcome to GracePointe.
We are a progressive Christian church,
loving our community by gathering in our homes.
Even as we practice social distancing,
we're asking big questions about what it means to be human,
what it means to love our neighbors,
and what it means to follow Christ.
We're cultivating a safe virtual space to deconstruct or reconstruct,
to question and to grow.
We are welcoming, affirming, and fully inclusive.
Because who you are and who you love are celebrated here.
While we may be physically apart from one another,
we believe we're never truly alone.
You are never alone.
We're together in this.
We're together in this. So even though we can't give you a hug just yet,
we want you to know that you are beloved,
you are included,
and you are affirmed.
Welcome to GracePointe.
Welcome to GracePointe.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Who am I that your love would seek and welcome me? I was lost, but you brought me in. Oh, your love for me. Oh, your love for me. Who your love sets free. Oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Realize you have rescued me, your grace runs deep. While I was afraid to live, Jesus set me free. With his love for me, who your love sets free. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In your loving arms, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Who your love sets free. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In your loving arms, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Good morning, GracePointe kids, and good morning, GracePointe youth. I hope each of you is doing really well. During this time of physical distancing, it is so good for our souls that we are mindful of and creative about the ways that we connect with those that we miss. Welcome your grown-up to imagine creative ways that you can connect with your GPK and GPY friends. Maybe it's by postcard or becoming pen pals. Maybe by text message or giving each other a call. Or just maybe you share your gamer username with each other and game together. Speaking of gaming together, GPYK now has their very own Minecraft server. For instructions on how to join the server, encourage your grown-ups to check their email inbox. And don't forget, GPYK hosts weekly opportunities for community connection on Zoom and Discord. GPY, you connect every Friday at 6:30 p.m. and every Sunday at 10:45 a.m. on our Discord platform. You also have the opportunity to connect throughout the week on the Discord platform, and this is where I share your reflection guide. For an invite to the Discord platform, email me at lisa@gracepointe.net. GPK, you connect with your GPK friends every Saturday at 10 a.m. And GPK grown-ups, you have the opportunity to connect twice a month with other GPK grown-ups on Zoom as well. Check out the GracePointe.net calendar for information about the GPK Grown-Up Connection opportunity. For information on all that is being created for and shared with our GPK and GPY communities, check out our Facebook groups, Instagram accounts, as well as your email inbox. And if you're not on our email list, email me at lisa@gracepointe.net. I would love to include you. GPK throughout the month of November, JL Creative's Gratitude and Attitude series will inspire our conversations. November 1st, which is today, is All Saints Day. So this week we are spending time being grateful for those who have gone before us, who have lived and loved really well. For access to our GPK gathering space, as well as our principal discussion guide, check out our Instagrams, Facebook groups, and your email inbox. All right, peace out, big air hugs, and so much love to each and every one of you.
Hey guys, we're back for the announcements. Just wanted to remind you that every Sunday we gather here on YouTube to chat and check on each other at 10:30. So that's about 15 minutes before the actual sermon begins. So make sure you tune in a little early so we can just chat, and then afterwards as well. Also wanted to remind you that on Wednesdays at 6:30 we host Reconstruct, and it's where people chat about life and love and the mysteries of the universe, and yeah, it's a good time. So make sure you check that out. And then lastly, I just wanted to encourage you to vote. If you have not voted already, your voice matters. There is really no other time like now to get your voice out there and to stand for what you believe in, and it matters. So make sure you get out there and vote.
Good morning, GracePointe. Your financial support makes everything that we do at GracePointe possible. This year, COVID has impacted all of us in so many ways, so I want to say thank you so much for entrusting us with your resources. And I wanted to give you an update on where we are right now. So for this year, 2020, we had budgeted for giving to be about $7,000 per week. And prior to COVID, that's about where we were. We were averaging around $6,900 per week in giving. In the second half of this year, things have fallen off a little bit. We were down about $1,000 per week on average. And fortunately, we've also been able to eliminate some expenses due to the fact that we're not meeting in person. But going forward, we're now starting the process to start planning and budgeting for 2021. And it's important for us now to know what giving is going to look like in 2021 so that we can come up with a plan to make sure that we're living within our means. We're also gearing up for what we believe is going to be a really exciting new chapter in the history of this church. We are looking for a new location so that once we're able to safely meet in person again, we'll have a space to do that. That's going to obviously bring with it new expenses. And we would love to get giving back to the level, the sort of status quo level we were at prior to COVID. And that will give us a foundation to budget for 2021 and to plan going forward. And of course, from there, we want to continue to grow. We want to add opportunities for engagement, for community building, for additional staff, and more. So all of that to say, your giving really matters. And I want to say thank you so much for the ways that you're investing in this community already. Thanks.
Hello and good morning, GracePointe. It is an honor to be with you guys today. I'm Lindsley Brooks, for those of you that I have not met. And I'm going to guide us through a meditation this morning that I hope will bring us some relaxation and help you release some of the anxiety and maybe some of the tension that we've probably all been feeling in this very uncertain and disruptive time. And it's in moments of heightened levels of stress that the mind starts to take over and survival instincts kick in, and we're just constantly in that state of fight or flight. And so my hope is that this meditation will help us move out of the mind and bring some peace and some comfort and help you get more grounded in your body. and not only connect to yourself in a deeper way, but also use this as a time to connect deeper to the divine. In our Christian tradition, this is considered a contemplative practice or a centering prayer or a silent prayer. And the idea is that we come and sit and simply just be and rest in the presence of the divine. So I hope that you'll also use this practice in that same way and begin to notice the inner transformation that's possible when you're able to sit without an agenda other than just being quiet and connecting to our own divinity. There's an inner transformation that happens of love, more joy, more peace, and that ultimately will affect on the outer transformation of more joy and love and peace. So let's begin. Go ahead and get more settled in your seat, uncrossing your arms and your legs. Gently begin to close the eyes, knowing that just for this moment, everything outside that's been bothering you, everything that's going on in the world, that even in just this moment, you leave it outside. Deep breath in and out. Let's begin by putting our hands over our heart. Left hand on top, right hand on bottom. Allowing yourself to get more grounded and settled with each breath. And just start to feel your heartbeat. The sacred space that is your heart. Breathing in and releasing. And dropping the hands in your lap and crossing your arms and legs. Rolling your shoulders up and back. Balancing your shoulders over your hips. And then just gently roll your eyes in and up and focus on the brow point. Tilting the head down gently, allowing the nape of the neck to be long and open. And just breathe. You can't do this wrong. It's just you being with you. Deep breath in. And let's take 3 cleansing deep breaths together. In through the nose and out of the mouth. Allowing all the air in your belly to fill like a balloon as you inhale. And then releasing all of the air out of the belly on the exhale. Inhaling, allow the air to fill the belly and move into the chest. And releasing all the air out of the chest and the belly on the exhale. One more time, allowing this time to be the deepest breath that you've taken all day long. Inhale through the nose. And exhale out of the mouth. Using this breath as an anchor for your mind to be in the present moment. Giving yourself permission to be fully present. And when your mind starts to wander, bringing your awareness back to the breath. Deep breath in. Bringing awareness now to your body. Begin to notice any physical sensations that might be happening in your body right now. And scanning your body with your mind's eye, just notice, do you feel any tension? Do you feel places that might feel cool or warm? Places that might feel tingling or numb? Just notice. No need to change anything. Bringing some awareness now to your emotions. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling right now? Maybe you've been carrying some emotions from earlier this morning or this week, or even from this year. Just notice. And notice if you can sense where the emotion might be living in your body. Is it in your stomach? Is it in your shoulders, your back? Just notice. Allowing yourself to be fully present to whatever it is. And on the exhale, just release it. Giving yourself permission just to release whatever has been weighing you down. Imagining with your mind's eye that the heaviness is beginning to melt off of you like liquid, dissolving. That even if just for this moment, imagine that it's releasing easily, effortlessly, just giving it permission to leave and let go. Deep breath in, dissolving like liquid from your body. Breathe in and release. All the worries from the world, from your day, from the future, everything you've been trying to control, everything that's not been going your way, just letting it go. Giving yourself permission to let it go. Knowing that as you're breathing this way, you might even notice some more areas, more parts of your body that are holding on to the tension and the stress. Unfurl your brow, unclench your jaw. And let your shoulders drop down even further away from your ears. And just notice how it feels in your body when you're able to release and relax and let go of the tension in your body. Allowing each inhale and exhale to be that much deeper and releasing that much more. Knowing that as your deep, deep breaths are sending signals to your body, knowing that your body is now registering and understanding that it can relax, that it can calm down. You're telling your nervous system that it doesn't have to be in survival mode. Using your breath like an anchor for your mind. Deep breath in and out. Knowing that when we're stressed and anxious, it's often because we are trying to control something that we cannot control. So using this opportunity to surrender. Allowing ourselves to surrender that much deeper, to trust that much more. Knowing that we do co-create with the divine and we are also at the mercy of it. Trusting and believing that all is working exactly as it should for our highest good. Deep breath in and out. Knowing that this does not mean that we stop trying to create our best life or that we give up in the face of adversity or stress. It simply means that we let go of the control that it has and the hold that it has on our bodies and our minds and our spirits. This is the practice of surrender, the practice of trusting that all shall be well. And just notice, even if just for this moment, what does it feel like to soften in the releasing of the tension? And choose to believe that even in just this moment that you are supported, you are not forgotten, and that you are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment in time. Notice what it feels like in your body when you can soften into that knowing. Notice what happens in your shoulders, what happens in your back and your jaw when you can just trust that you are being supported and that you are safe. Breathing in and out. All shall be well. All shall be well, and all manner of thing shall be well. Deep breath in. Returning now to your natural breath, bringing awareness back into your body, back into the room around you as you gently begin to open your eyes. Thank you.
In the silence, tell me, can you hear the voices calling out of the disappeared? Broken spirits, how much longer will justice sleep when a lawless heart is the voice we're hearing? We need freedom, freedom, freedom. How much longer till we sing a new song? How much longer till we sing a new song? Hearts of saints and sinners too, both have walked away from the destitute. Call them back to sing as one, a song of freedom now, a song to overcome. When a lawless heart is the voice we're hearing, we need freedom, freedom, freedom. How much longer till we sing a new song? How much longer till we sing a new song? Come on, brother, lay your weapons down, where the river of justice flows, all oppression drowns. It flows with life, love and truth. May the old be washed away and hearts be made anew. Come on, brother, lay your weapons down, where the river of justice flows, all oppression drowns. It flows with life, love and truth. May the old be washed away and hearts be made anew. When a lawless heart is the voice we're hearing, we need freedom, 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 freedom. How much longer till we sing a new song? How much longer till we sing a new song? How much longer till we sing a new song? How much longer till we sing a new song?
Good morning, GracePointe. So good to see you today. So glad you're here, especially if you're joining us for the very first time. Wherever you are in the world, we're so glad that you found us, and I hope that this gathering today has been meaningful and helpful, and that you've had a great first experience with GracePointe. We're going to continue our series, Let Us Be, today. But before we jump into that, I wanted to take just a moment to acknowledge what's happening right now in our country. We're on the brink of a contentious election. There's been a lot of division in our country. I know a lot of us are feeling worried and concerned, and there's anxiety and there's tension as we move into this election, not only about the election itself, but what's going to happen in the fallout of the election. And also we're here once again in the United States of America, and another black man has been killed in the streets, this time in Philadelphia. And I think we need to take a moment to acknowledge Walter Wallace. And we have to take a moment to acknowledge that it seems like in this country, if you're essentially a white terrorist, you can walk around with an AK-47 and be apprehended peacefully, but you can't be a black man having a mental health crisis. the police officer shot him 14 times. And this is still playing out as of the time I recorded this sermon. So don't know what the next information is going to be, but I do know that this continues to, it just keeps happening, and we're all aware of it, and it just keeps happening, which reminds me that whatever happens on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, like whenever we find out the results of the election, whatever happens, this is not going to go away. The problems that we're grappling with, or maybe that we're failing in some ways, our leaders are failing to grapple with, these problems are still going to be there. We're still going to be in the middle of a pandemic. We're still going to have a problem with systemic injustice, systemic racism, and police brutality in this country. So we just have a lot of work to do. So I hope that each of us are finding whatever way we can to practice self-care, to be kind to ourselves, to get all the rest we can get, because no matter what happens on Tuesday, or whenever we find out, no matter what happens, there's still a lot of work ahead of us. The work of love, the work of justice, the work of ensuring that the rights of the LGBTQ plus community aren't stripped in this country. There's just so much work ahead of us. So try to take deep breaths often. Try to take care of yourself. Remember that wonderful advice from airlines, which is put your own mask on first, so that you can assist others. So that's just what I've been carrying around for the last couple of days. I hope that maybe that's helpful. So today we're going to continue our series, Let Us Be. And this series is all about embodying the values we share as a community. And today I want to talk about curiosity, which probably for many of us, and probably in most churches we've experienced, curiosity isn't considered a value, it's considered a problem, right? How many of us have ever been told that our questions and doubts were a threat to our faith? That if we followed, to use a phrase from T.S. Eliot, if we followed the hints and guesses we were carrying around, if we listened and attended to that nagging sense of, is that actually how it is? Is there more to faith than simply memorizing and repeating and defending doctrines? Is it really possible that if we lean into our questions and we lean into our curiosities, that's going to doom and damn our faith? And is that how it works? And I think the unfortunate result of the demonization of curiosity that's happened in a lot of religious circles, a lot of Christian circles, is that it limits our growth. Because at the heart of every major human discovery or advancement is an engagement of curiosity. It's somebody has been curious and they've embraced that curiosity, and it's led them into all sorts of inventions. But even before that, like Copernicus and Galileo, who had this curiosity about how the universe worked, and they offered some counter truth that, hey, actually the sun is not the sun is at the center. Almost messed that up. The sun is at the center, not the earth. And they essentially created a buzz that got in trouble with the church. Like, there's all of this fallout because they questioned long-held assumptions about how the universe is structured. Think about Charles Darwin, another scientist, who offered a different explanation about how we got here and how the world works. And then think about people like Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison, these people who created things that now, I mean, can you imagine, did they really believe that we would end up with a phone in our pocket that connected us to the whole world? Probably not, but they followed curiosity. For so many of us, the journey we've been on that we've called maybe deconstruction, or that I prefer to call like an unraveling or a composting of my previous faith, one of the reasons we did that is because we were spurred on by curiosity. And the more we learned, the more questions we asked, the more ways we engaged it, the more interesting it was, and the more life-giving it was, and the more, I would not hesitate to use the word exhilarating to talk about that journey of sort of leaving behind certain perspectives, doctrines, and dogmas to begin to embrace what we've been led to embrace, which is a different lens for God, a different lens for what it means to be human, a different lens for what the Bible, all of those things were spurred for me and I bet for many of you out of just a curiosity. We were having experiences in the world and sort of the teaching that we were given about how the world works, and those experiences, they just didn't fit. And it's unfortunate that in so many ways our resistance to curiosity has put the church as a whole on the wrong side of science, on the wrong side of biology, on the wrong side of history in so many cases. And I have come to believe that transformation begins with curiosity, which means developing a sense of and a trust in curiosity. And that takes courage to begin to trust your questions, to begin to trust that by having the questions, you're not somehow coming out of left field, or that by having questions, you're not somehow demeaning faith. You're actually leaning into it, right? That your questions aren't a threat to God, and your questions aren't a threat to you. Your curiosity may threaten the establishment. Your curiosity may threaten those in power. Your curiosity may threaten those who have a vested interest in keeping people believing what they believe. But your curiosity is not a threat to God, and it's not a threat to you. It is actually the thing that will lead you into the path of transformation and guide you along the way. Because this fear that we have of curiosity, fear limits our growth. It limits human beings because it tells us that anything we don't know or understand, or one of my favorites is like when somebody's like, well, I've never heard that before, as if they hadn't heard it, then it can't be possible. Like that they've heard everything that could be possibly heard, right? And we just sort of begin to believe that anything that is different, or anything that comes from a different perspective, or anything we don't understand really, is inherently bad or dangerous. I mean, that's literally what the core of xenophobia is. Xenophobia is this fear of someone from another country, or fear of someone who's unknown to us. And so instead of being curious about them and learning about them and asking questions and engaging them, we end up hating them and vilifying them and pronouncing them as a danger to our community. The good news is that curiosity is at the core of faith. It's at the core of the Christian faith. I mean, take the story of Father Abraham, who had many sons and daughters had Father Abraham, and I am one of them, and so are you. So let's all praise the Lord, right? Like Father Abraham, in our faith tradition, he engaged his curiosity when he was called. He sensed he was being drawn to leave the familiar and to travel to a land. And in the text in Genesis 12, it actually, the God character in the text says to Abraham, go to the land I will show you. No Google Maps, no Waze, just a human being following his restless curiosity, and in doing so, changing the world. I mean, when the three of the largest religions in the world all trace their beginnings back to the same character, Abraham, right? The Jewish tradition, the Christian tradition, and the Muslim tradition all trace their origins back to this person and his restless curiosity that led him to leave home for another place. Then there's Moses, who was tending his father-in-law's, in one text, his father-in-law's name is Jethro, and I just love that. And he had a cement pond, and I realize that that's a reference a lot of people may not get, but it's the show. I digress. Moses is tending his father-in-law's flocks, and as he's doing it, I would imagine he's been in this spot tending this same flock many, many times, but he notices that over there is a bush that is on fire, but it is not consumed. And Moses is faced with sort of what do you do? And Moses listens to his curiosity, and he goes over, and when he gets there, he removes his sandals because he realizes that the ground has always been holy. How many times had Moses passed that spot? How long had the bush been burning before Moses sees it and his curiosity gets the best of him, and he goes over, and history is transformed? That moment of curiosity engaged leads to a movement of liberation in the Exodus, and it leads to a new understanding of God, that God actually isn't located at the top of the power pyramid with all the wealthy and all the powerful, that where you find God is among the oppressed, and you find God willing the liberation of the oppressed and calling us into the work of doing that. And then there's Jesus. I find it so interesting that Jesus actually asked far more questions than he answered. It's said that Jesus asks 307-ish questions in the Bible. He is asked 183 questions, and he only answers 3. Now, I didn't go through and count all those, but a quick skimming of the Gospels will sort of reveal that this is a valid piece of information in the sense that Jesus asks more questions than he ever answers. And he often responds, because I think Jesus was a curious human being. He often responds to a question with a question, right? And his questions were intended to engage his listeners and to pique their curiosity. So they have a question, and Jesus is like, I'm interested, I'm curious. Why do you ask it that way? He asks them a question, and he's inviting them. And some of the ways he does this, Jesus asks really practical questions like, what do you think? Right? Somebody asks him a question about doctrine or dogma, and he's like, I don't know, what do you think about it? And he asks questions, really profoundly simple and beautiful questions like, what do you want? What are you looking for? People often say that Jesus is the answer, but based on the practice of Jesus, it is probably more accurate to say Jesus is the question, right? Because Jesus' curiosity caused him to engage other human beings in such a way that also piqued their curiosity. So knowing that curiosity is embedded in our tradition, even if it makes people uncomfortable, and even if we haven't always acknowledged it, and even if there are some streams in our tradition that want to snuff the embers of curiosity out, it's embedded in our traditions. And here at GracePointe, it is one of our core values. It's one of the things that shape us as a community. So I want to think, we're in this series, we're thinking about being, not believing, right? Embodying. What does it mean to embody curiosity? And I think right off the bat, it begins with embracing love over fear. The general assumption is that hate is the opposite of love, but actually, hate isn't created in a vacuum. Hate is often the product of fear. And so fear and all the things it brings with it, it's actually the opposite of love. Listen, the writer of 1 John says this. Listen to 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear because fear expects punishment. The person who's afraid has not been made perfect in love. Now, perfect isn't a good translation of this because we have sort of a Platonic Greek philosophical idea about perfection. What the word actually means, it's this word in Greek, teleos, and it means to bring to an end or to finish. So actually the word means it's more about completeness and wholeness. So if we read that again and we say there is no fear in love because whole love, complete love drives out fear. The person who is afraid has not been made whole and complete in love, which is, and so for so many of us, the exact opposite of how we were initiated into the Christian tradition. I mean, for me, the night I went down front at a church and got saved was the night when a preacher actually said the phrase, somebody in this room very well might die tonight. It's very, very likely that somebody in this room will die tonight. I was in the room, there weren't that many people. It didn't seem like my odds or anything I wanted to take a gamble on, right? But so my coming into, like officially coming into the Christian faith for me was the product of fear. And for so many people, that's what brings us in, is we have hell hung over us. We have punishment hanging over us. And the reality is what this writer says is actually perfect love casts out fear because fear has to do with punishment. And that's not how God works. Fear has to do with bad things. That's not what God's intention toward humanity is. For love to be completed in us, to be whole, complete in us, it means that fear is no longer calling the shots. What would happen if we saw the Christian path as inviting us into that journey of being transformed by love, of love making us whole and complete, so that fear isn't calling the shots? Love tells us we are safe. Love tells us we are beloved. Love tells us that our lives have inherent worth, that our connection to God is an inherent connection and union, that God isn't somewhere else angry keeping a list of what we've done wrong, because love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. And so what would it mean for us to, if we really believe we're safe, that God's not out to get us, why wouldn't we lean into our curiosities? Because look, if I ask a question that completely crumbles everything I believe, but I get close to the truth, why would I not want to leave behind something that's less truthful or less helpful for something else? Right? What if we had no fear and we leaned into love and trusted that love will take care of us? Second, I want to talk about embracing trust over certainty. I often say there are two things that many of us were handed when we were being initiated in the faith. We were handed certainty and we were handed fear. The problem with that is, one, we can't have certainty. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And the other, fear, we don't need, because fear is a limiter. Fear actually keeps us from growing and transforming and feeling safe and trusting in love. And so we were handed these two things, and what I think curiosity does is it invites us to push the boundaries of the certain. We begin to say, I guess I don't know that that's about certain. If we don't have certainty, we can begin to push the boundaries of what people have said was certain. I mean, there are things people have believed and taught for generation upon generation that just end up not being true. The earth is not at the center of the solar system. The earth is not flat, right? There are all of these things that humans believed and eventually got better information and changed their belief. And curiosity is how you get the better information. It's asking questions. It's knowing that if certainty is not if we can't have certainty, then my goodness, we can ask all the questions. I think embracing and embodying curiosity is about also embracing a journey over the destination. I think the journey is the point. And I think that's why the National Lampoon's vacation movies are so fantastic. And we're in November now, and inching closer to watching Christmas Vacation, one of my all-time favorite movies. But what if the Griswolds had chosen to fly to Wally World? Right? If you haven't seen the movie, won't be such a spoiler, but they don't fly to Wally World. They get in the family station wagon and they drive across the country, and all of the mishaps and all of the lessons, like everything that makes that trip great television, and everything that makes it sort of for the characters in the story a journey of learning. And the thing that makes that happen is that it is the journey, right? The point isn't they went to Wally World. The point is getting to Wally World. And I think for so many of us being initiated in a faith that said the point is getting out of this life and into heaven. The point is leaving this behind and going somewhere else. Like, the problem with that is it actually limits us, because it doesn't, the journey doesn't happen. It's you've got this, we're going to download this correct doctrine into you. Try not to screw it up before you die or before Jesus takes you on, vacuums you up into the sky or whatever. But curiosity is where our lives are transformed. The journey is where lives are changed. The journey is where relationships are formed. It's where memories are made. And the journey is where we learn about ourselves and learn about who we are. And so I think curiosity is about saying, whatever the destination is, sort of like in the Abraham story, the place you're going, which you'll be shown, we don't know really what the destination is. We have lots of questions about that. But what if we allow our curiosity to guide us on the journey? And what if we listen to it? And what if we allow it to point things out? What if we allow it to raise questions? And what if we allow curiosity to shape the journey? Not so much worried about the destination. Because my assumption and my hunch is that if we attend to our curiosity and we listen to love as we move on this journey, whatever the destination is, wherever that ends up, we're going to be better people when we get there. And then I want to say this. I think embodying curiosity is also about embracing active boredom over passive boredom. We treat boredom as a problem that needs to be remedied. I'm one of the worst. Like, if I sit around the house all day, like, at some point I'm like, I got to get out of here. We got to go do something because I'm just bored. And I hear that too. Like, my oldest sometimes will talk about how bored he is, and I'm like, what? How are you bored? How are you bored? You can do this. I mean, you've got all this. We have more entertainment accessible to us than ever before in human history, and yet sometimes we find ourselves being bored. Right? The endless options actually leave us kind of bored and tired. But that's why I think we should embrace active boredom. Passive boredom is excruciating and unproductive. It's just like watching paint dry. Active boredom takes those moments and pairs them with curiosity, which opens up many possibilities, right? When we pair, not just sitting around, but when we're bored and we're like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to occupy myself? And actually we begin listening to our curiosity, and we read something, or we watch something, or we have whatever is born out of that active boredom, it can actually be transformative. And it can actually take us further on the journey if we're willing to make the most of those boring moments. I love these words by the poet Mary Oliver. She says this: instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. I think that idea of paying attention, like Moses seeing the burning bush, Abraham hearing his own sort of inner restlessness, paying attention and being astonished, just living in awe. I mean, think about this. When we go outside at night and you look up and you see billions of stars, and you see the moon, which is being lit up by the sun, is it just do we get so used to that we miss it? That we miss like what a massive universe this is, and how fortunate we are to get to be a part of it. I mean, how many of us see the sunset all the time, and so we've sort of lost the impact of seeing the beauty that happens in the sky in the evening. Pay attention, be astonished. I think those are sacraments. I think paying attention is a sacrament, because a sacrament is all about sort of when that veil between the holy and the everyday, it's when that becomes it's sort of a moment of meeting the divine. And the thing we understand is that every bit of life can be sacramental. Every bit of life can have that same sense of holiness and weight to it. Frederick Buechner said, if we weren't blind as bats, we would see that all moments are sacred, holy, sacramental moments. So I think paying attention and being astonished are moments when every moment's holy. God is absolutely. God's the water, we're the fish. But there are moments when we become attuned to that in new ways or in more open ways. And I think that when we are paying attention, we're being astonished, it opens us up to transformation even more. They open us up to the divine, and they open us up to the human, and to the fact that those two things, the divine and human, aren't separate. Right? There isn't a God somewhere else. What is here. What is now. And it's about paying attention, being astonished, and then sharing it and telling about it. Maybe that's what curiosity is about. Maybe curiosity is about living a life. Right? It's about not going through life on autopilot, but it's actually engaging and living life. Maybe the best way we can engage our curiosity is paying attention. Like Abraham to his restlessness, Moses to the burning bush. Maybe it's being astonished by the beauty and the gift of life all around us. And maybe it's taking every single opportunity we have to share that and inspire curiosity in someone else. When I was graduated with my master's degree, I got to teach Hebrew Bible at the university, Western Kentucky University. And Hebrew Bible was the course when I went into my first religion class in college in the fall of 1999. I took this course, and that course was the course that helped me learn to pay attention to my questions. It helped me see that curiosity about the sources and curiosity about where the Bible comes from and curiosity about how different people have interpreted it, like that I could follow that curiosity and it wasn't leading me away from truth or away from the Bible or away from God. It was actually opening me up in new ways. And so when I got to teach that course, my hope was that I could do that for somebody else. That even if it's a struggle because students come in and they've had certain experiences and they come from this, but I had them for an hour and a half on Tuesdays, Thursdays for a semester. And my hope was that if I can just teach them to engage their questions around the Bible, if I can just help them see that it's okay to be curious, that could be a game changer. And it was for me. Being able to be curious about the Bible, being able to be curious about faith, being able to be curious about other human beings and the faiths they practice, and just realizing that curiosity didn't threaten me. It didn't threaten God, that it didn't threaten my faith. What curiosity did was energize and inspire it. And so my hope, GracePointe, is that we as a community embody courage we talked about last week, but embody curiosity, and that we let everybody who comes into this space know that this is a safe place for your questions, for your doubts, for your struggles. This is a safe place to say, I have faith, but help my lack of faith.
There's a sickness here that threatens to divide us, and we're all afraid to say its name out loud. Lord, I know that you can heal us of this virus, so we need you. We need you right now. And there's a darkness here that's dangerous and aggressive. It's getting harder every day to shake its power. Lord, I know that you can free us from oppression. So we need you right now. 'Cause we don't know what to do. So we turn our eyes to you. And we've run out of words to say. You can come and have your way. You can save us from ourselves before our wounds hurt someone else. We need you now. Hey. We need you now. What does it mean to have compassion for another? How can I claim to love a God that I can't see? If I can't find a will to harm and kill my brother, 'cause he neglected to look like me. And I can speak the words of men and songs of angels. I can give all my possessions to the poor. But if your love can't move the mountain of my hatred, somehow I missed you. And I need you so much more. 'Cause we don't know what to do. So I turn my eyes to you. And I've run out of words to say. But if you come and have your way, so won't you save me from myself before my wounds hurt someone else. I need you now. We need you now. 'Cause we don't know what to do, Lord. So we turn our eyes to you. And we've run out of words to say. You can come and have your way. Would you save us from ourselves before our wounds hurt someone else? We need you. Take us in your hand. Need you now. We need you now. We need you now, Lord. We need you now. We need you now. Can't make it without you, Jesus. We need you now. We need you now. 'Cause if you don't heal us, God will never be healed. If you don't deliver us, we'll never be free. Lord, if you don't change us, we'll never be better. And we need you right now.
Well, once again, GracePointe, thank you so much for being here today. I'm loving this series. I'm loving talking about these values together. And if you're looking for a place to explore these kind of things further, you should join us at Reconstruct on Wednesday nights, 6:30. You can find the Zoom link at gracepointe.net/calendar. But it really is a good time. It's a place where really curiosity is what shapes the discussion. What we're thinking, what we're asking, what we're feeling, all of it, like that shapes the discussion. So if you're looking for a place that's safe to do that, please join us on Wednesday evening. It'll be a good time. Hope you have a good week, GracePointe. Reach out if you have any pastoral care needs. We're here. We want to make sure we're loving and caring for our community well. So you can email me at josh@gracepointe.net if you have any pastoral needs, if you just want to set up a Zoom, if you want to set up a FaceTime, if you want to just set up a text, like whatever that looks like, we're here. So please let us know. We love you, GracePointe, and may grace and peace be with you this week.